This is the international news on Atlantic Television Network. First, the headlines. Greece, Mediterranean boat disaster, men accused on trial as scapegoats. Yemen, Houthis down US MQ-9 drone over Al-Baida province. Beijing, China scolded South Korea, Japanese lawmakers for visiting Taiwan. Europe, ICC requests arrest warrants for Prime Minister Netanyahu. Others. United States, Trump lawyers to mount their defense hush money trial. Sydney, Australia and New Zealand begins evacuating nationals.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human
On the point of order.
Honorable they are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
Nine men accused of the causing of one of the deadliest shipwrecks to have taken place in the Mediterranean are scapegoats who should never have been prosecuted, defense lawyers have said, as their long-awaited trial opens in Greece. The Egyptian suspects who have been held in pre-trial detention since 14th June disaster last year are appearing in court in the southern city of Kalamata on Tuesday. An estimated 600 men, women and children perished, and Adriana, an aging fishing trawler believed to be carrying up to 700 people, capsized in international waters off the Greek town of Pylos. Images of passengers past the vastly crowded Italy-bound vessel circled the world, prompting global outrage over whether the Hellenic Coast Guard, first alerted to the ship after it ran into engine trouble, with about 15 hours before it capsized, could have done more to prevent the disaster. Victims who had boarded the boat in Libya included Pakistani, Syrian, Egyptian, and Palestinian people. It soon emerged that women and children of the 104 survivors, all were adult males and boys, had been locked in the hold of the boat. The ship sank in one of the deepest areas of the Mediterranean. To date, only 82 bodies have been recovered. But almost a year on, there are concerns as to whether the accused, who were among the survivors, will be given a fair trial. The 9, aged between 20 and 40, stand accused of migrant smuggling, participating in criminal organization, endangering human lives, and provoking a shipwreck, charges that, if convicted, carry multiple life sentences. All have categorically denied being involved in the smuggling operation. Anti-fascist and leftist groups are staging out a protest outside the courthouse to denounce Europe's migration policies and deploying what they have described as a state cover-up. Before the start of the trial, there was a skirmish between riot police and the protesters. Defense lawyers have already signaled that they will try to have the case dismissed, arguing that as the shipwreck occurred in international waters, Greek courts lack the jurisdiction to try it. Vicky Agelido, a lawyer representing two of the men, said the evidence of prosecution witnessed was not only insufficient, but simply did not stack up. The witnesses were compelled to give testimony under duress. There is not the slightest bit of proof against the defendants, and that is because they were paying customers just like the rest, she said. Real smugglers never get on a ship. We are talking about big business. We are very professional. Natasha Deilani, another defense lawyer, said it was clear the suspects were scapegoats to the cover-up of responsibilities of the Coast Guard. There must be a fair trial and a search for the real causes, she added. Iran proclaimed 5 days of mourning for President Ibrahim Raisi on Monday, though the muted atmosphere revealed little of the spectacular public grief that has accompanied the deaths of other senior figures in the Islamic Republic's 45-year history. While government loyalists packed into mosques and squares to pray for Raisi and Foreign Minister Hossein Amir Abdullahian, both killed in a helicopter crash, most shops remained open, and the authorities made little efforts to interrupt ordinary life. A year after Raisi's hardline government cracked down violently to end the biggest anti-establishment demonstration since the 1979 revolution, opponents even posted furtive videos online about people passing out sweets to celebrate his death. Laila, a 21-year-old student in Tehran, said by phone that she was not saddened by Raisi's death because he ordered the crackdown of women on hijab. But I am sad because even with Raisi's death, this regime will not change, she said. Rights groups say hundreds of Iranians died in 2022 to 2023. Demonstration triggered by the death in custody of a young Iranian Kurdish woman arrested by morality police for violating the country's strict dress codes. The authorities' handling of an array of political, social and economic crises have deepened the gap between the clerical rulers and society. Supporters of the clerical establishment spoke admiringly of Raisi, a 63-year-old former hardline jurist elected in a tightly controlled vote in 2021. He was a hard-working president. His legacy will endure as long as we are alive, said Mohammed Hossein Zarabi, 28, a member of the volunteer Basij militia in the Holy Shiite city of Qom. But there was little of the emotional rhetoric that accompanied the deaths of reverse figures like Qasem Soleimani, a senior commander of Iran's elite revolutionary guards, killed by a U.S. missile in 2020 in Iraq, whose funeral drew huge crowds of mourners, weeping with sorrow and rage. For opponents of Iran's clerical rulers at home in exile, Raisi has been a hate figure since 1980s when he was blamed for playing a leading role as a jurist in the execution of dissidents. Iran has never acknowledged that mass execution took place. Amnesty International says 5,000 Iranians, possibly more, were executed in the first decade after the revolution. I congratulate the families of the victims of the execution, Internet user Soran Mansonia posted in an online forum debating the legacy of Raisi's death. However, not just another user lamented Raisi as having died a martyr's death. Many Iranians said they expected that Raisi's death would have little impact on how the country would be ruled, with the establishment likely to replace him with another figure with similarly hardline views. Who cares? One hardliner dies, another takes over, and our misery continues, said Reza, 47, a shopkeeper in the central desert city of Yazd, who did not give his full name, fearing reprisals. We're too busy with economic and social issues to worry about such news. The U.S. Central Command said on Tuesday more than 569 metric tons of humanitarian assistance has been delivered so far across the temporary floating pier to Gaza, but not all the aid has reached warehouses. Aid deliveries began arriving at the U.S.-built pier on Friday as Israel comes under growing global pressure to allow more supplies into the besieged coastal enclave. The UN said that 10 truckloads of food aid transported from the pier site by UN contractors were received on Friday at a World Food Programme warehouse in Deir al-Balah in Gaza. But on Saturday, only 5 truckloads made it to the warehouse after 11 others were cleaned out by Palestinians during the journey through an area that a UN official speaking on condition of anonymity said has been hard to access with humanitarian aid. The UN did not receive any aid from the pier on Sunday or Monday. Israeli forces raided Jenin in the occupied West Bank on Tuesday in an operation that the Palestinian Health Ministry said killed 7 Palestinians, including a doctor, and left 9 others wounded. The army said it was an operation against militants and that a number of Palestinian gunmen were shot. There was no immediate word of any Israeli casualties. The Health Ministry account of the casualties was quoted by the official Palestinian agency, WAFA. Among the Palestinians killed was a surgical doctor, the head of the Jenin governmental hospital. He was killed in the vicinity of the hospital, the director said. The West Bank is among territories Israel seized in the 1967 Middle East War. The Palestinians wanted to be the core of an independent Palestinian state. U.S.-sponsored talks on a two-state solution to the decades-old conflict broke down in 2014. Syria's First Lady Asma al-Assad has been diagnosed with leukemia, the Syrian presidency said on Tuesday, almost 5 years after she announced she had fully recovered from breast cancer. The statement said Asma, 48, would undergo a special treatment protocol that would require her to isolate and that she would step away from public engagements as a result. In 2019, August, Asma said she had fully recovered from breast cancer that she said had been discovered early. Since Syria plunged into war in 2011, the British-born former investment banker has taken on the public role of leading charity efforts and meeting families of killed soldiers, but has also become hated by the opposition. She runs the Syria Trust for Development, a large NGO that acts as an umbrella organization for many of the aid and development operations in Syria. Last year, she accompanied her husband, President Bashar al-Assad, on a visit to the United Arab Emirates, her first known official trip abroad with him since 2011. She met Sheikha Fatima bint Mubarak, the Emirati president's mother, during a trip seen as a public signal of her growing role in public affairs. Yemen Houthis downed a U.S. MQ-9 drone over Al-Baida province in southern Yemen, the Iran-aligned group's military spokesperson said in a televised statement on Tuesday. Yahya Saree said the drone was targeted with a locally made surface-to-air missile and that videos to support the claim would be released. The Houthis said last Friday they downed another U.S. MQ-9 drone over the southeast province of Mareb. The group, which controls Yemen's capital and most populous areas of the Arabian Peninsula state, has attacked international shipping in the Red Sea since November in solidarity with the Palestinians in the war between Israel and Hamas militants, drawing U.S. and British retaliatory strikes since February. China on Tuesday scolded South Korean and Japanese lawmakers for visiting Taiwan, despite its strong opposition, chiding both neighbors for attending Taiwan's so-called inauguration ceremony of the leader. Taiwan's President Lai Ching-te, regarded by China as a separatist, was officially sworn in on Monday after winning a January election. China, claiming Taiwan as part of its territory, resolutely opposes the visit. Its embassies in South Korea and Japan said, and has lodged solemn representations with the two Northeast Asian countries. A spokesperson for the embassy in South Korea said the move runs counter to the China-South Korea strategic cooperative partnership, while to Japan, the embassy there said the visits seriously contravene the spirit of Sino-Japanese commitments. China urged South Korea to take practical actions to safeguard overall interest of bilateral relations, while it seriously urged Japan to cease provocative political manipulation of the Taiwan issue. It also told Japan, which has joined the United States in congratulating Lai, to avoid causing further damage to peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait and to their bilateral relations. On Monday, Japan's Chief Cabinet Secretary Yoshimasa Hayashi called Taiwan an extremely important partner and friend of our country, and that Japan's stance was to further deepen cooperation and exchanges at the non-governmental level. Ties between Japan and China have sagged in recent times, weighed down by a host of issues, including clashes over mutual maritime claims in the East China Sea, as well as China's actions against Philippines' claim in the South China Sea. China, South Korea and Japan are due to a trilateral summit next week in Seoul. Vietnam's National Assembly said on Tuesday it will vote to dismiss To Lam from the post of Minister of Public Security, paving the way for him to be elected state president this week as part of a shake-up in the country's leadership. To Lam, 66, has been nominated by a top committee of the ruling Communist Party to become president, one of the top 4 posts in Vietnam. The Assembly is due to vote on his candidacy as president on Wednesday. The decision to dismiss him from the top police post had not initially been part of the schedule of the legislature. Its Secretary Bu Van Quang had on Sunday said To Lam would stay on as a minister heading the country's powerful internal security agency even after being elected president. On Tuesday, he said the change in plan was based on opinions from relevant authorities, the laws, and on a proposal from the Prime Minister. To Lam has been in the job since 2016 and in 2021 was admitted to the party's Politburo, the most powerful decision-making body in Vietnam. He has been a key figure in an anti-graft crackdown known as Blazing Furnace, which is aimed at rooting out widespread corruption but has been seen also by critics as a tool to sideline opponents during political infighting. The shake-up has since March seen the exit of 3 of Vietnam's top 5 leaders after the House Speaker and the President and a top Politburo member resigned due to unspecified wrongdoings. A Thai minister at the center of a pending legal complaint seeking the dismissal of Prime Minister Thretha Thavisin resigned on Tuesday in an effort to insulate the premier from possible repercussions. A group of 40 senators lodged a complaint to the Constitutional Court last week against Pichit Chirban, 65, saying his appointment last month as minister to the Prime Minister's office breached the Constitution as he has a criminal record. The court was due on Thursday to decide whether or not to accept the case, which could lead to Thretha's suspension. Even though I have been vetted and honestly I believe that I am qualified by law, this matter is linked to the Prime Minister, Pichit said in his resignation letter, shared with the media by Thretha's office. He said his resignation would allow the country to move ahead and not impact the administrative work of the Prime Minister that needs continuity. It was not immediately clear whether the resignation would have any impact on the complaint submitted to the court. Pichit was jailed for 6 months in 2008 for contempt of court after an alleged attempt to bribe court officials with 2 million baht. Hidden in a paper grocery bag, his law license was suspended for 5 years by the Lawyers' Council of Thailand after the incident. The government has said it carefully vetted Pichit's qualification and was confident it could defend his appointment before the court. Pichit becomes the 3rd minister to quit Thretha's cabinet after his foreign minister and deputy finance minister resigned following a cabinet reshuffle last month. The senators whose term has ended are currently lawmakers in a caretaker capacity pending the selection of a new chamber. They have accused Pichit of lacking integrity and ethical standards to hold a ministerial post. Government critics say Pichit was appointed due to his close relationship with a client, ex-premier Thaksin Shinawatra, who returned to Thailand last year after 15 years of exile. Thaksin, an ally of Thretha, who still wields considerable political influence despite officially being retired. The government has insisted Pichit was appointed due to his capabilities. Lawmakers in Taiwan jostled, unfurled banners and shouted at each other on Tuesday in a dispute about efforts to widen parliament oversight pushed by the opposition, despite the anger of the ruling party, which says there has been no consultation. The squabble comes as Lai Ching-te took office on Monday as a new president, facing not only an angry China, which views him as a separatist, but also a fractured parliament after his Democratic Progressive Party lost its majority. That includes a controversial proposal for lawmakers to punish officials deemed to commit contempt of parliament by making false statements or withholding information, which the PDP says lacks a clear definition. While there was no repeat of Friday's scenes of legislators punching and wrestling each other in the chamber, DPP lawmakers wearing headbands reading "Democracy has died" demanded more discussions on the proposals and vented their anger at the KMT. On the Speaker's platform today is not the KMT or the TPP, it is Xi Jinping, TPP Caucus Sweep Ke Chien-ming told the chamber, referring to China presidents. His remarks prompted shouts of "shut up" from the opposition camp, some of whom brandished signs reading "Reforming Parliament, let sunshine in." The KMT accused the DPP of trying to spread rumors and paint them red, the colors of China's ruling Communist Party, in a bid to stifle the reforms. The DPP is stirring up populism and their anti-reform actions don't have a leg to stand on, said KMT spokesperson Yang Chi-yu. Taiwanese drag queen Nymphia Wind, the winner of this year's RuPaul's Drag Race, appeared briefly at the protest rally to offer support. "I respect Parliament, but I hope Parliament can do things that we respect and respect our democratic procedures," she said. "As a Taiwanese citizen, I think we must stand up. The current reform proposals overly expand the power of the lawmakers," Chang Hung-lin, the head of Citizen Congress Watch, a non-government group advocating for citizen supervision of Parliament, said. Although the group backs an existing efforts to give Parliament more government insight, the current proposals, some of which passed a second reading on Tuesday, give lawmakers the right to demand parties, such as defense officials and private companies, testify in Parliament without proper checks and balance. He said, "This is harmful to our administrative power and the judiciary," he added. You are watching the international news on Atlantic Television Network. We return after this break.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human
On the point of order.
Honorable
You're a human
on them. They are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
I hope nobody carry belle.
Why you ask, oh?
Because this road where they see, so it no guarantee safe delivery. Oh.
We just dey vote for government, but we not get good governance.
At all.
Road so e no dey, light o usai, the infrastructure nko e come turn to be forbidden fruit for the city.
Corruption, quell everything. Hello?
Hello, madam. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Mrs. Ayeni. I am calling from the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs.
Okay. Okay, I've been expecting your call.
Madam, remove this your phone from loudspeaker.
Now my phone be like that. Hello?
Are you there?
I hear, I'm hearing you.
Yes. We saw a copy of your invoice for computers, printers, and laptops.
Yes. Are you working on them now?
Ma, the prices you quoted are way too high now.
Madam, sorry, please don't cost.
We found the laptop you said is 1.8 million naira for 600,000 naira.
Hello?
Now my body network there.
I can't hear you. Network is bad.
Madam, we can hear you. Continue.
Hello, I can't hear you. We call you back.
Their behavior not good now.
Madam, now this kind behavior they kill our country. You suppose do things differently, make Nigeria for better.
Corruption not in my country. This message is brought to you by the Akin Fadeyi Foundation, the MacArthur Foundation,
and with broadcast support from Atlantic Television Network.
Corruption not in my country.
I don't get a lot. Boy, they won't booga me small. They say, man, give them bribe. I say, nothing. Okay, now, we'll go block later. You remember that contract where we do that time now? They don't pay.
But first, you see the house rent with the old things. We first call caretaker, take the money, slap him.
You know, say I get annual levy why they pay for club. Where me and boys they shark beer in our house, I could pay that one. You remember say me I tell you I go buy you motor. I go buy now.
Okay, they pay you money now. We don't they beg caretaker? Why would they beg landlord, old man, and they agree give us time? Money can't come now. You won't divert time. You said na corruption. Corruption, not in my house and not in my country.
Sure.
Corruption not in my country. This message is brought to you by the Akin Fadeyi Foundation, the MacArthur Foundation,
and with broadcast support from Atlantic Television Network.
Get ready! As Morrison Communications Limited proudly presents Children's Day Celebration 2024.
Arts. La Small Hotel and Resorts, number 9, Rumukalabo off Waterlines, Basta, Port Harcourt. On Saturday, May 25th, starting at 8 a.m. Inter-school march past competition,
Dance competition, drama competition. Parents, teachers, and children alike, don't miss out on the fun with Uncle Clown bouncing castle as we cut the Children's Day cake. Admission is just 2,000 naira per child. For participation and sponsorship opportunities, call us now 0806 673 8689
and 0810 634 1777.
This event is proudly sponsored by the Last Small Hotel and Resort with Atlantic Television Network and 99.5 Wish FM Port Harcourt, Lesuka Event Center, Gate Place Hotel, 8 Ball Hotel and Lounge, Oma Studio, Osbia Table Water.
Remember that every child is unique. See you there. This event is managed by Pace Expressions Arts.
Special guest appearance, Hilda Dokubo, Children's Day Celebration 2024.
Kasali, I hope so my car don't ready. I get interview in 30 minutes.
Okay, you don't ready. I just the last minute instruction where you give me yesterday. Now in the cause more delay.
Which instruction?
Maybe now you say make I change the meter, make you no read again.
Which time did I make you change meter? Oh, Kasali, why you do like this now? You don't get sense. You don't read the text message. Nobody I want send them to. Like Kasali, my electrician, make it come house, call me do my meter so that you don't go to read again. You the electrician?
The electrician.
Yes, now.
So you call Kasali electrician, make it come help you adjust your meter, make it for no read again, Abi. So you said you want join people where be say they no want they pay NEPA bill again, Abi. Oga, you know good now. You don't use you don't they behave like all these stiff people.
What you change from your motor? What you change from?
Two lights. Fuel gauge. Speedometer.
For what you now? You for come out for home my motor. I better identify for me.
Okay. Now don't do something we corrupt. Do something come backfire. Now go come they find how to dodge them.
What you talk?
They greet you.
Corruption not in my country. This message is brought to you by the Akin Fadeyi Foundation, the MacArthur Foundation,
and with broadcast support from Atlantic Television Network.
Corruption not in my country.
What you want to buy?
Potato. Small basket. I want plantain. But why your plantain can't hard like this?
Madam, now the outside hard. Inside there, it is very soft.
Madam, wallahi make her no buy. Make her show you something. What? What in this one? Madam, this one now the chemical they put on for the plantain make her ripe up.
So you dey put chemical for plantain where people go chop?
No water, no be chemical.
Madam, water.
You know, say Pela, I don't talk and say, water and not be enemy. Drink up.
Where I collect that water, drink am.
I just stop finish. See my belly. I found it don't big. I just stop drink water finish.
Make I drink am. Wait, I drink am. At the sell and plantain, I go come put am for chemical because I want to make a ripe co. That's why I talk now corruption. Corruption. Not be for this kaswa, come not be for this country. Now me take am.
Corruption not in my country.
This message is brought to you by the Akin Fadehi Foundation, the MacArthur Foundation,
and with broadcast support from Atlantic Television Network.
Welcome back. This is the international news on Atlantic Television Network. Now to the rest of our stories. Elderly Russian physicist Anatoly Maslov was sentenced on Tuesday to 14 years in penal colony for treason, the latest of a string of cases against experts working on the science that underpins Russia's development of hypersonic missiles. Maslov, 77, was convicted by a St. Petersburg court following a trial that was closed to the press. He had protested his innocence. Maslov is one of 3 scientists from the same Siberian Institute, all specialists in hypersonics, who have been arrested since 2022 on treason charges. The other 2, Alexander Shiploik and Valery Visinteg, are awaiting trial. They, along with a number of other scientists accused in similar cases, had conducted theoretical work in areas relevant to the development of hypersonic missiles, cutting-edge weapons capable of carrying payloads at up to 10 times the speed of sound to punch through air defense systems. President Vladimir Putin has said repeatedly that Russia is a world leader in this field of weaponry. Lawyer Yevgeny Smirnov of Pervy Ochdel, an association that specializes in defending people in cases of treason and espionage, said the charges against the 3 scientists were approximately the same, spilling information considered state secret while participating in an international conference or research. Any conviction against Maslov is a gross violation of the law, he said. I'm sure that Maslov is not guilty of the acts accused of him and is a victim of the policies of the Russian authorities. In a rare open letter published last year, colleagues of Maslov, Shiploik and Veginstev said the men were innocent and the scientific papers that they had published or presented to international conferences had been vetted to ensure they did not include restricted information. The International Criminal Court's prosecutor said on Monday he had requested arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, his defense chief and 3 Hamas leaders over alleged war crimes. ICC prosecutor Karim Khan said in a statement issued after more than 7 months of war in Gaza that he had reasonable grounds to believe the 5 men bear criminal responsibility for alleged war crimes and crimes against humanity. He said he had applied for an arrest warrant for Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant as well as for Netanyahu. They have overseen Israel's offensive against Hamas in Gaza since the Palestinian militant group's deadly October 7 raid on Israel. Khan has also applied for arrest warrants for Hamas chief Yahya Sinwar, Mohammed al-Masri, the commander-in-chief of the military wing of Hamas, who is widely known as Steve, and Ismail Haniyeh, head of Hamas's political bureau. A panel of pre-trial judges will determine whether the evidence supports the arrest warrants, but the court has no means to enforce such warrants, and its investigation into the Gaza war has been opposed by the United States and Israel. Israel and Palestinian leaders have dismissed allegations of war crimes, and representatives for both sides criticized Khan's decision. I reject with disgust the comparison of the prosecutor of The Hague between democratic Israel and the mass murderers of Hamas, Netanyahu said, calling the move a completely distortion of reality. U.S. President Joe Biden called the legal step outrageous, while Secretary of State Antony Blinken said it could jeopardize negotiations on a hostage deal and ceasefire. Senior Hamas official Sami Abu Zuhri said the prosecutor's decision to request warrants for the 3 Hamas leaders equates the victim with the executioner. Hamas demanded the arrest warrant request for its leaders be cancelled. 3 senior Syrian officials will face trial in absentia in a Paris court on Tuesday, accused of involvement in the disappearance and subsequent death of a French Syrian father and his son. It is the first time that a serving Syrian official will go on trial for alleged war crimes. The long-running case revolves around the disappearance and subsequent death of Father Mazen Debag and his son Patrick, who were arrested in Syrian Air Force intelligence agents in November 2013 and later died in custody. One of the officers accused of complicity in their disappearance and torture, Ali Mamlouk, is still in the Syrian security apparatus as a security advisor to President Bashar al-Assad. The two others, Jamil Hassan and Abd Salam Mahmoud, are a former director and director of investigation of the Air Force Intelligence Unit. None of the three accused will attend the trial in the Cour d'Assises, which is scheduled to last 4 days. The Syrian Information Ministry did not immediately respond to a request for comment about the case. Syria's government, Assad and ally Russia have rejected accusations of mass killings and torture in a war that the United Nations has said claimed hundreds of thousands of lives. Mazen Darwish, head of the Syrian Center for Media and Freedom of Expression, which is supporting the case, said it was the first to try a serving Syrian official. He said it will be significant to all Syrians as pertain to arbitrary detentions, torture, extrajudicial killings, which he described as systemic behavior by the regime. There are no efforts to prosecute members of the Syrian government at home in Syria, where critics say the courts serve the president's interests. Previous trials in Europe have targeted former officials. There has been no accountability yet in international tribunals either, as Syria is not a member of the International Criminal Court. However, the International Court of Justice has ordered Syria to halt torture. Prince Harry cannot amend his lawsuit against Rupert Murdoch's British tabloid newspapers to include allegations involving his wife Meghan, nor claims against the media mogul himself. London's High Court said on Tuesday the Prince and more than 40 others are sung news group newspapers over accusations of unlawful activities by journalists and private investigators for The Sun and now the defunct News of the World from the mid-1990s until 2016. In March, the British royal sought to amend his lawsuit to add new allegations, including that The Sun ordered private investigators to target his then-girlfriend and now wife Meghan in 2016. However, in a ruling Tuesday, Judge Timothy Francott refused him permission to do so and also to include allegations dating back to 1994 and 1995 involving his late mother, Princess Diana. The judge also rejected an application to include allegations against Murdoch himself and other senior executives. However, Harry was allowed to alter his case to include allegations the papers had bogged his landline phones and to make accusations against further journalists and private investigators. The court in its judgment today has thoroughly vindicated the NGN's position and did not give permission to introduce large and significant portions of the amendments, a spokesperson for NGN said. Donald Trump's lawyers will mount their defense on Tuesday in the former president's hush money trial unless the judge overseeing the case agrees to dismiss it outright, an unlikely development. Trump's lawyers have asked Judge Juan Merchan to dismiss the case before it reaches the jury, arguing that it rests on the testimony of a witness. The estranged former Trump fixer Michael Cohen, who has a well-documented history of lying, such dismissals motions has a well-documented history of lying. Such dismissal motions are rarely successful, and Merchan indicated on Monday that he was inclined to let jurors assess Cohen's credibility for themselves. Prosecutors say his testimony is buttressed by other evidence. Cohen, the prosecution's final witness, wrapped up his testimony on Monday, clearing way for the Trump's lawyers to present witnesses and their own evidence. First up will likely be lawyer Robert Costello, who on Monday testified that Cohen told him he did not have any incriminating information on Trump. Costello's demeanor on the witness stand apparently angered Merchan on Monday, who cleared the courtroom to tell him, "Don't roll your eyes." It was unclear whether Trump himself would take the witness stand, a risky move that would open him up to cross-examination. Before the trial started in April, he said he would take the witness stand, but on Monday he walked away when reporters shouted out questions about whether he would testify. Trump is accused of covering up a $130,000 payment that bought the silence of a porn star, Stormy Daniels, who in the final weeks of 2016 presidential election was peddling her story of sexual encounter with Trump. Though the harsh money payment itself is not illegal, Trump faces 34 counts of falsifying business records to hide his reimbursement to Cohen, who initially paid for the transaction. Trump, 77, has pleaded not guilty and denies wrongdoing. He says he never had sex with Daniels and has cast the trial as a politically motivated attempt to hurt his effort to win back the White House as a Republican